We'll call to order the Charter Township of Oxford Planning Commission regular meeting of April 13th, 2023. Can we please stand and pay our respects to the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. McCullough, note the roll.
Knoll?
Here.
Bailey?
Here.
Turner?
Here.
Hunley?
Here.
And Berger, Spiz, and Ballard are absent.
We have a quorum. I was told that we only, since it of the nature of what we're doing tonight requires just a majority of the quorum and not four. So, moving on, I will take a motion for item number 4, approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve tonight's agenda dated April 13th, 2023.
Second. We have a motion and it's been supported. Do we have any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item 5, conflicts of interest. Ex parte contact. Oh, we're asking the commissioners if they have a conflict of interest. Oh, that's new. Okay.
No, sir.
No, I have none. I do not believe I have none. Item 6, approval of minutes, the Planning Commission regular meeting of March 23rd, 2023.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to approve the minutes for the Planning Commission regular meeting March 23rd, 23.
Do we have support? We have support.
Yep.
So we have a motion and we have support by Mr. Turner. Do we need a roll call for that?
No.
No. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comments on items not scheduled for public hearing or on this agenda. Megan? No? No? Seeing none. Item 8, commissioner comments. Mr. Turner?
Nothing here.
Mr. Bailey?
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Knoll?
No comment, thank you.
I just want to say this is my first time in the 12 years I've been on the PC that I am chairing a meeting. You know, a large crowd, it's my debut, but
You're doing great.
yeah, thank you. I hope I don't do anything to screw you up, I'm sure I won't. Item 9, public hearing. We do not have a public hearing tonight. Item 10, unfinished business. A, PC 23-001, 411 North Oxford Road. Is the applicant here?
I'm representing the applicant. I will approach. For the record, my name is Ian Hurst, Kent Building, representing Dan Davis Properties. I believe that's the entity he has it under, 411 North Oxford. I'm basically here to answer your questions. I know a couple of you gentlemen were here last time, and some of the gentlemen that were here are not here. There was a few engineering issues last month, which actually had been taken care of, and we went through the pre-planning approval, no problem, and then it kind of got hung up here. But I think we're good to go.
Yes, the meeting in March, the PC gave preliminary site plan approval pending certain issues to be resolved.
Yes.
And from what I read in the packet, other than the one issue, everything has been resolved, but the discussion about the number of employees, correct?
Yeah, we just don't know because it's being divided into a 4-unit multi-tenant. We don't have any tenants even
Right.
proposed yet.
Mr. Knoll, did you?
I would suggest you
Yeah.
talk with
You're right.
and then have Megan.
I'm going to do that.
You're on my side, right?
I'm done with the applicant. But did you want to make any other comments?
No, I'm just here to answer questions. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Commissioners, any comments to the applicant? Questions,
No, not at this time.
concerns? Our planner, please. Megan?
For the record, Megan Masson-Minock with Carlisle Wortman Associates. I would agree with the applicant, this is pretty straightforward. They were here before you on March 9th and received preliminary approval with a number of conditions. If you look through the fire chief's letter and the township engineer, all of their requests or concerns have been met. There were a few things noted by the township engineer that can take place at the pre-construction or construction phases when engineering is looked at in a finer detail. Again, there needs to be a condition about the parking because you don't know the number of employees, and that's unrealistic at this at this point because there's 4 speculative spaces. But both from my office and the township attorney's office have suggested you place a condition of approval, limiting the number of employees at any one time. And per our letter, based on the reduction of parking spaces, that number would be 12. There are a number of other small details that we had listed as potential conditions on pages 10 and 11 of our letter. And I would also note the township attorney suggested that you waive the development agreement. And so that should be part of the motion. And I believe her letter to you states that. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but again, it's the only reason this is before you is they were expanding the parking lot. And so with that, it comes to site plan review.
Any questions from the commission? Nope.
Mr. Chair, I believe there is.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Knoll?
The length of the parking places, do we need to be concerned about that tonight?
No, I believe you waived those in your preliminary.
Okay.
And again, those are spots that bump up to the yards and where the bumpers will overhang.
And then you said 12 employees. Are you assuming that only 12 employees are gonna drive 1 car each?
That is what is per the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
So that is the calculation.
Okay.
Mr. Turner, any questions, comments, concerns?
Not at this time.
No? Mr. Bailey? No?
Not yet. No, I'm good right now.
Mr. Chair, I have another issue. The township attorney, as well as your letter, reference site plan decision criteria,
Yes.
and that is in our ordinance. Do we need to run through A through H to make sure we've covered the basis of our site plan decision criteria?
You can do that verbally if you'd like to have that on the record, but you can also depend on incite in your motion, our letter and the attorney's letter.
I'm sorry?
You can cite in your motion, reference our letter, which runs through those motions and states that they have been met. Because there is 1, 2, 12 standards.
Yes. I didn't know if we needed to go through that or if we cited in the motion that we had before us for approval that we're gonna cover it. I was just kind of eyeballing that real quick.
Yeah. So what I would suggest is that in your motion, that you make a finding that it meets all of the criteria for site plan approval as referenced in the planner's letter dated March 29th, 2023.
That's covered. Mr. Chair, I can make a motion if you'd like, sir.
Go ahead.
I move to grant final site plan approval for PC file number 23001 for the proposed reconstruction and improvements of the industrial building located at 411 North Oxford Road, conditioned upon the following. Applicant provides the information requested by the township zoning ordinance as set forth in reports submitted by the township consultant and the township administration. The applicant submits a revised plan addressing stated deficiencies and reports submitted by the township consultants and the township administration. And 3, the applicant approval of a waiver of the requirements to enter into a development agreement from the Oxford Township Board of Trustees. Consultant reports and reports generated by the township administration is referred herein, with the exception of those subject to the attorney-client privileges, shall be attached to the approving meeting minutes dated April 13, 2022.
Just one note before seconding. The number 1, you said information requested.
I'll repeat
Should that
that.
be required? Just because we're requiring it, not requesting.
I can repeat number 1 if you'd like. Applicant providing the information required by the township zoning ordinance as set forth in the reports submitted by the township consultants and the township administration.
I'll second that.
A point of clarification, were you going to mention the number of employees specifically?
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, are we open for discussion?
Sure.
It's covered in all the letters. I referenced the letters from our township board, township consultants and township administration. Do you have any thoughts?
I would recommend that limitation on employees be part of the motion and as a condition of approval. While it is referenced in these letters, I think it's a significant condition that needs the prominence of being in the minutes.
I have no problem with that. I will, for point of order, do you want us to approve this and then we make another motion? Or would you like this to be added on to the motion I just made with second?
I'm okay with you just adding it on.
You can
Okay.
revise your motion.
Yeah, just revise. your
I'd
motion.
like to revise my motion to say that the employees limit would be 12.
And I'll still second that.
Do we have to note the waiving of the development agreement, or was that done in the previous,
It's number
That was
3
done.
in the
It's
motion.
number
3 on
oh,
Mr. Chair, question I have on this for discussion is that the Oxford Township Board of Trustees waive the requirements. We recommend to the board to waive this, correct? Is this what we're saying here, Susan?
Yes, the applicant, my understanding is the applicant has to request this waiver, is that right?
Yes.
The planning commission makes a recommendation to the board as to whether to have a development agreement or waive it, and the only person who has the power to waive it or approve a development agreement is the township board.
If we're still for question, Mr. Chair.
sure.
Number 3, does that cover our bases, Susan?
Applicant's approval. So, for clarification, the applicant has to agree to that as well?
No.
Because number 3 says applicant's approval of a waiver of the requirement.
Number 3 on,
The attorney
Page
letter?
3.
Page 3.
in the footnotes?
No,
No.
Karen.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
We'll get there tonight, Kate. We'll get there.
Applicant's approval of a waiver of the requirement. So the implication is the applicant has to
I agree with you, that seems to be the indication from the township attorney, but since they are not present, I really can't answer that question. It's my understanding from looking at the zoning ordinance that this body makes a recommendation as to whether to waive or require a development agreement, and the township board makes that decision. So I think it would be appropriate in your motion for you to say that you recommend a waiver, and then the rest of this can be worked out at the township board level with consultation with the
So-
township attorney.
On my original motion, I added a restriction of 12 employees. And then I'm going to add to that a recommendation of a waiver of the requirements to enter in a development agreement that the PC board will recommend it to the township board.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
can I please make a recommendation
Sure.
on the restriction on 12 employees? Can that please say at any one time, rather than just 12 employees in general? Because they might have shift work, where there might be 6 employees at a time, and so over the course of a day, there would be
18.
18.
Yeah, good point.
I'd like to suggest, Mr. Chair, if we vote on this and possibly vote it down, then let me do this.
I haven't seconded,
Yeah,
Any
I'm getting
changes, so-
confused, so.
so if you don't get a second, the motion dies anyway.
Okay.
Well, my understanding is, Mr. Bailey, you did second.
Not his latest revision.
Oh, the revisions. Well, I would concur with Mr. Knoll that if you just, somebody would second the motion,
And vote it down.
Vote it down and start all over.
start over again.
I'll second that.
Are you making a motion, you're rescinding your motion?
No, I
No,
think you
no.
should make
Hold
a
on.
roll call.
You do a roll call vote, we're gonna vote it down, he's gonna do a fresh, complete motion.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion on the floor, and it's been seconded. Roll call.
Bailey,
No,
Knoll,
No,
Turner,
No.
Conway,
No.
motion failed.
okay, Mr. Chair, I'd like to step back up to the plate and try to do this again. I move to grant a final site plan approval for PC file number 23001 for the proposed reconstruction improvements to the industrial building located 411 North Oxford Road, conditioned upon the following. Applicant provided information required by the township zoning ordinance as set forth in the report submitted by the township consultant and the township administration. Applicant submittal of a revised plans addressing the stated deficiencies in the report submitted by the township consultant and the township administration. Applicant's approval of a waiver of the requirements to enter in a developmental agreement from the township board of trustees.
You're wiping that out.
I'm gonna leave that in because the attorney left it in, and I'm gonna add, the planning commission recommends to the township board to waive the requirements of a development agreement. Consultants' reports and reports generated by the township as referred herein, with the exception of those subject to the attorney-client privilege, shall be attached to the approved meeting minutes dated April 13, 2023, and a limit of 12 employees at any one time on a location.
I'll second that.
Does that cover our bases? All right, we have a motion, and we have support. Roll call.
Knoll,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Conway,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get that all
Guys.
siding off there.
Yeah,
Get that siding off there.
we'll make it pretty, don't worry.
Thank you.
All right, item 11, new business, we have none. Item 12, communications and/or committee reports. Economic Development Committee,
We're just waiting to hear back from Justin to schedule a time where we can get together for our first official meeting, so we should hear something.
okay. Ordinance Review Committee,
I can take that.
yes, Mr. Nold.
We had our first ever meeting, luncheon, business meeting at Moe's in town. We took the company staff car and traveled the township from the south quadrant to the north quadrant, reviewing all the signs at hand, having a lively discussion in regards to the types and what our ordinance could say, should say, and what was actually in the ground as far as signage on the south side of the township as well as the north side of the township. And we're in hopes that we have documented things with pictures. We're in hopes to have a picture catalog come out and the ORC to review it with opportunity to hear from some other members of the township staff in regards to ideas to support some of the types of signs that are currently on the south and north part of the township.
Do you want to add anything to that, since you were part of the group?
Nope, I was editing pictures today.
Thank you.
Okay. Planner and engineer reports. We do not have our engineer, but we have our planner.
Thank you. There haven't been any development proposals submitted for your upcoming meeting agenda, and we are at the 2-week mark, so we expect that meeting at the end of this month would be canceled for lack of agenda items. However, you do have agenda items scheduled in May already. Both have public hearings associated with them and are rezonings. The first meeting in May is MI Homes, and the second meeting is the Parks and Rec rezoning that was heard here at the last meeting. Please note that attendance is very important on those because it requires 4 affirmative votes of the Planning Commission in order to make a recommendation on a rezoning. So we urge you all to mark those dates on your calendar and make it a priority to be here. Also, please look at those dates. One of those dates we would have a training also, like what was held for the township board in terms of planning and zoning basics, but also conflicts of interest, how to run an effective meeting, etc. And so myself, and in cooperation with the township attorney, would bring that presentation to you. It would be helpful to know either tonight or within a week or two which of those dates you feel that would be most effective to have that training. Any first reactions on that?
What's the time frame for the training? Is it?
It wouldn't be more than an hour.
Are you talking coming in an hour early like we did for the township board, or having it part of our regular meeting?
You could do either. So whatever works best for you.
Do we have any dates that the trainer will be available?
I know that these are on my calendar, and I would have to talk to Morgan because at that point in time, Brittany would be on maternity leave.
You want to make sure all 7 of us are here, though.
I would, plus the attorney.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I can ask Cheryl to pull all of you and send out an email, and we can get more information from the.
do you want to have this in May?
We would like to have it in May. It could go to June. This has been talked about since January, so.
Well, since we have a skeleton crew tonight, I would suggest, Mr. Chair, that we have it on our agenda for the 1st of May meeting to discuss it with a full quorum and make sure that everybody's on board. Just an idea.
We can do that. If Cheryl canvasses everybody, then Cheryl can put it on the agenda. But just in case, we can put it on the agenda for the next meeing.
If you just know that if you do put it on the agenda for the next meeting, that knocks that meeting out, so then you're potentially into June. If
No, I'm
if
not
the
saying,
End of May.
excuse me, I'm not saying that we put it on the agenda, that we put on a topic to make sure everybody get a commitment, because we have a lot of people that travel. And they might
Well, what
not
if
know their
everybody's-
schedules, and they're gone now. They might not know their schedules until the 1st of May when they come back in.
But what if they were all available first meeting in May, and we can do it then? All right, I'll make, Cheryl puts the agenda together, right?
Cheryl puts the agenda together, and
So
then,
I'll talk with Tom, and if Cheryl canvasses everybody, and they're all available, and the attorney's available, and you're available on the first meeting in May, then there's no reason to worry about
And
it
that's
on the
the
agenda.
second week of May, correct?
correct, so,
I'll be around.
right. And finally, we had a pre-application meeting for the northeast corner of Oxford and Powell. Part of it is in the township and part of it is in the village. And they were proposing multifamily buildings. However, the density was too high for what's allowed. They were hoping to use the planned unit development, and the planned unit development in terms of multiple family units only allows townhouses, and they were looking for 3 to 4 story apartment buildings. Just wanted to let you know that that meeting occurred. It's a complicated site because of the joint jurisdictions. There's some topography, but also, and it's zoned and planned for multiple family. So that's on the radar and may be coming forward if they find a configuration that works and complies with the zoning of both the village and the township. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I can just adjourn, right? I don't need to take a
You
motion.
can.
Yes, you
We're
can.
adjourned.
Is that on the one on Oxford Road? Right across from